Hello and welcome to the PMcast where we talk about progressing electronics and more. Today was a very special day for everybody, I guess, for anybody with an iPhone 4 and greater, or anybody with a Mac or a MacBook Pro, or anything like that. WWDC, which stands for Worldwide Developers Conference, was today, which is June 10th, 2013. Apple, pretty much what it was is Apple came out and said everything is being updated. And I have to say, it was an amazing conference. This year, WWDC 2013 was an amazing conference. It was so hyped up. There was so much stuff that they put into this hour or whatever it was. And I watched the live stream of it. So I'm just going to do an overview of what they said. And I have to warn you, this is going to be a long podcast. So I'm going to go over everything I can possibly think of. Everything in my notes that I covered. I'm going to skip over some things. So first, they came out and said WWDC sold out in 71 seconds. And that is just that's absolutely insane. 71 seconds, that's just over a minute for everything to sell out at WWDC. Okay, and then they went on to show a video about a new store that Apple opened. Then they did what they always do, and they showed a whole bunch of statistics with the App Store and with Apple and iTunes and everything. And they said 50 billion apps have been downloaded, 575 million accounts have been created, and Apple has paid $10 billion to developers, which is 3 times more than any other platform combined. Which that's absolutely amazing. Also, right now, sorry if this sounds really weird. My mic is on a different setting right now, and I'm in a different room, so there might be a little echo. But sorry about that. Anyway, right after they said that, a company called Anki came on stage, and they revealed this thing called the Anki Drive. Pretty much what it is a robotic. It's a robotic racing thing. I don't even know how to describe it. Pretty much what you do is you lay down this thing that looks like a poster, and it has a track on it. It has a black track on it. There's nothing raised up. It's just like a poster, and you place a car on it. You would think it's an RC car. It's kind of like a little RC car, but it's just this little car that you set on there. And it can tell, because it can tell its surroundings. It looks at its surroundings, it looks at colors, and it tells itself where to go. And you can get on your iOS device, or you can get on a computer, or anything Apple related. You can get on there and control what this does. You can control its movements. You don't control its path, but you command it to do things. Like if you're racing somebody else on this little poster thing, if you're racing somebody else, you can command it and say block, or destroy, and it will do stuff to other cars. And it's really, really cool because it just keeps racing around this little thing. It's really, I guess you can play it with your friends and stuff, and it's really neat. I mean, you just sync it straight from an app through the App Store. Okay, and then they went on to talk about some more statistics of the Mac line. They said the Mac was the number one desktop, and Apple has the number one notebook, and Apple has number one customer satisfaction. I don't know why I said satisfaction. That's not even a word. Number one satisfaction through computers. And then they announced their new OS, the new operating system for Macs. It's the replacement for Mountain Lion, but it's not the replacement for Mountain Lion. It is a redesigned Mountain Lion, pretty much. It's got what they're calling like a California design. It's called OS X Mavericks. They just talked a lot about the updates. All it is an updated Mountain Lion, and so they showed that Finder now has tabs, and Finder's all in one and everything, and you can tag things, and it'll be stored in Finder. And then they talked forever about multiple displays, which really kind of made me mad because Microsoft Windows has had multiple displays forever, where you can view one thing. Like if you have one computer, like if you just have one tower, but you have two displays, you can control one thing on one display and another thing on another display, and you can move things from one display to the other. Windows has had this forever, like a long time, and I guess Apple emphasized that so much, but I mean, Windows has had it forever. It's not really that big of a deal anymore. So I don't know. Everybody, all the Apple fanboys were really excited about that. Okay, and then they went on to talk about how OS X Mavericks improves your battery. They said the management to your battery is just it's amazing, because it does so many things, like runs things in the background, and once you run something on the background, it lowers your CPU usage, and which in return you have better battery life. Say that 5 times fast. No, but the battery is it's amazing. It lasts forever. And because of the battery management, there is now 72% less CPU usage, meaning you pretty much have a larger CPU. Well, not a larger, but a more faster performing CPU, pretty much. That's pretty much what that means, because you're using so much less. Okay, and then they went on to talk about Safari, which I really didn't care about, so I kind of zoned out while I was taking notes, but I took as much as I could possibly take. They added a Safari now. You can enable a sidebar. What this sidebar does is you can see your feed from Twitter. You can do all kinds of stuff, like see your bookmarks and all kinds of stuff like that. And in my opinion, a sidebar that's right there is very annoying. It makes your page a lot smaller. But they're saying that this the new Safari uses a lot less energy for your computer. So if you have Safari on your laptop, your MacBook, if you have Safari on your MacBook and you don't have your battery cord, well, you're going to be using less energy, so your battery's going to last longer. And then they talked about just the scrolling. Like, they just talked about scrolling on Safari forever, and it was actually kind of annoying, because I guess it wasn't forever. Maybe it seemed like it was forever. It was a couple minutes. They talked about scrolling, how smooth it is, which I guess it was pretty smooth. And then they said something that was actually very interesting. The CPU one way the CPU usage goes way down is by covering up one window with another window. Let's say you're on something that is, let's say you're editing a video, and it is using up a ton of your CPU. Like, your CPU's at like 80% usage. Let's say your CPU usage is 80% because you're like editing a video or something. If you take, if you're rendering a video, how about I should say you're rendering a video? Well, if you're rendering that video, you want to get on the internet. If you go to like Google Chrome or Safari or something, you literally just cover up that window, meaning you just open up a window and cover up your editing. Your CPU usage goes all the way down, but it's still rendering in the background. So that is absolutely amazing. It's really crazy. I've never seen something like that before. And then they talked about iCloud Keychain, which iCloud Keychain, it's where you can sync your passwords across anything, Safari, on any device, on any Apple device. What's really cool about the OS X Mavericks is apps will now update in the background. That is excuse me, that is absolutely just amazing. Usually updating apps in the background it's great. Usually you can't do that, and you have to go manually do it. Then they went on to talk about Apple Maps, and you can sync routes to other devices and stuff. After that, they went and talked about iBooks and textbooks. And in the textbooks, they showed a really cool feature. Maybe I thought it was cool, but it's already been done a million times now. But you can make notes on things and highlight things with the textbooks, and watch videos with textbooks. These are like textbooks. So with textbooks at school, you can't do any of that stuff. You have to actually pull up YouTube to watch a video or whatever. This is all like, take your iPad, get all the textbooks you could possibly want on it, and take notes on the actual textbook itself. It's really great. Okay, then they announced the new MacBook Air. It's not a new MacBook Air. I'm sorry to say, but it's not a new MacBook Air. They talked about this MacBook Air. It looks exactly the same. Literally, it does not look different. It's got an all-day battery life, which is pretty cool. The processor is it's an Intel 4-core Haswell ULT processor, or GPU. It has the 11-inch MacBook, the MacBook Air 11-inch. It has a 9-hour battery life, and the 13-inch MacBook Air has a 12-hour battery life. So these, the MacBook Airs have 802.11ac Wi-Fi, which is 4 times faster than 802.11n, and those are shipping today. Then they went on to talk about the Mac Pro. This is absolutely amazing. It has a completely different design than the previous generation. It's got an Intel Xeon, I believe it's pronounced an Intel Xeon chip. It has ECC memory, PCIe flash, Thunderbolt 2, dual workstation GPUs, which is absolutely astounding. Dual workstation GPUs is 528 gigabytes per second. Then they said it has 4K video, 6 Thunderbolt ports. It is the 8th of the volume of the previous generation, and it's coming later this year, and it is being assembled in the USA. Then they went on to talk about iWork, which I don't care about. Now finally, what you guys have all been waiting for is iOS. Okay, they talked about iOS. They first said iOS, there's 600 million iOS devices. It is the number one customer usage for the 9th time in a row. So it's number one. iOS is the number one mobile platform for everybody for the 9th time in a row. Okay, it has they went on and said a whole bunch of statistics about it. There's 50% more usage from iPhones compared to Android. Then they went on to say other statistics and stuff, and then they said the name of the new iOS, which everybody knew. It's iOS 7. iOS 7, they showed a video, and it was amazing. So while they showed the video, I only got to take these short little notes, so I'm going to put them together the best I can. They said... Johnny Ive, of course, he was on the video because he's the designer of iOS 7. And with iOS 7, the lock screen is completely different. When you're on the lock screen, there's no more slide to unlock. You just slide up and it's unlocked. This reminds me a lot of Android. So they're kind of copying Android, you could say. But they've been working on iOS 7 for a long time, so I don't know. It's kind of sketchy. They might be copying them, but it's whatever. Then they use the word that it describes it greatly. It describes iOS 7 greatly. Simplicity. It's such a simple operating system. It's very simple. Unless you know how to use every feature of it, then it's super complicated. So then they said that the icons were completely redesigned, and when you see the actual icons, they're very flat. They have flat colors. There's no glossiness anymore. It's very simple. It's a lot like Windows Phone. It's more. There's more it's more square. Everything is more square. Everything is more rectangular. It's more shapes than it is glossiness and roundness anymore. And then they showed the new notifications bar, which has a whole bunch of stuff on it. I'll get to that here in a minute because that's just a quick note that I took. The weather app is completely redesigned. What I thought was really cool also is when you're on your home screen or you're on anything, not into an app, but you're just looking at your apps. If you literally physically tilt your phone, your background will move. which is really interesting. It's really neat. It's kind of like Android, how when you scroll it moves, but this time it just responds to your movement when you tilt. So the background actually physically changes. It's really cool. The keyboard got kind of a new redesign. It's more of just the color of it. It's just white. They used, I noticed with iOS 7 a lot that they used white, the color white, literally, a lot with iOS 7. There's a lot of white and bright colors. Okay, and then they showed the new camera, which it's really neat. It's got some neat features on it. And then they said that this is the biggest change to iOS since the iPhone, and I completely agree with that because I mean the iPhone has been stagnant for 7 years. It's not changed at all. Maybe it's 6 or 7 years, whatever it is. It's been completely stagnant until now. Now iOS 7 has completely changed it, and it's way redesigned and everything. So like I said earlier, the lock screen is very Android looking. Excuse me. The messaging is also completely different. The messaging doesn't look anywhere similar. The bubbles are more actually I think the messaging app is the only app that actually has like roundness to it. I think the messaging app is literally the only one that they showed that actually has more roundness to it than it did before, which is now. It looks completely different. Game Center does not even look like Game Center at all. I would not recognize it. It doesn't have all that wood that it had on it before, and the green stuff, and it looks a lot better. It looks more professional rather than a stock image. Like before, Game Center right now, in my opinion, it looks like they took a stock image from Google and just added stuff onto it, but now it's completely redesigned. It doesn't even look like Game Center anymore. It's really neat, actually. They said that Clocks was redesigned, so is Stocks. That rhymed. The new lock screen is different also. I know I said this, but I mean the lock screen itself. Like when you swipe up, when you get to the actual password, the place where you enter your password, it looks a lot different. It's a lot more bold. And those are circles instead of squares now. Like the buttons themselves are circles. And then they kept talking about the weather app. They said that the weather app, there's animations in the background now. So it's a lot like Android. With Android, you can enable like animations when you turn on your phone. There's an animation that plays of what weather you have. Well, that's now the same with the weather app. When you go into the weather app, there's an animation of what weather is going on right now. And I mean literally an animation. It's actually really neat. And then if you pinch on the weather app, you can see all the cities that you have added, and they're stacked on top of each other. So if you only have two, you'll only have two weather apps, or you only have two cities stacked on top of each other. Okay, and then they showed the calendar, which doesn't even look like a calendar. It's got colors and all kinds of weird stuff. I don't know. It looks a lot like the Google Calendar stuff. So then they talked about the back button, because iPhones have never had a back button. So now what you can do is you swipe the screen from the left to the right. That's really neat, and that only happens within certain apps. So don't worry, like if you're on Facebook or something, and when you swipe right now, if you swipe on Facebook, it will take you to all of the settings and everything on the left side. Well, that will not take you back. When you swipe on those kind of apps, it will do exactly what the program itself is meant to do. It won't go back. But on certain apps, if you swipe from the left of the screen to the right, it'll actually just take you back instead of hitting a back button. So that's pretty neat. So the folders things, the folders now, you can have pages within pages within pages. So many. You can have apps, like hundreds of apps within pages, or within folders. Sorry, and I guess that's kind of useful. I guess I don't know. I don't really use folders that much. But then they showed the Mail app. It's a lot different. It's completely redesigned also. It doesn't even look like the iOS 6 app for Mail. Then Oh, excuse me. Then they showed the notifications bar again, and they showed the. It has multiple options at the top. There's a today view, and there's other views that you can see. Like if you press today, you will be able to see what all is going on today. So now, for the first time ever, the lock screen itself, you will actually have a notification center. So if you swipe from the top to the bottom, it'll show your notifications, just like if you were unlocked. Okay, then they went and showed this is the last thing. No, it's the second to last thing. I lied. The control center. The control center for this is absolutely amazing. I love it. Now you don't have to go to the settings app to change your settings. All you have to do is swipe up, and if you swipe up, it's the control center, and there's quick settings like brightness, sound, all kinds of awesome stuff. I love it. And then my notes are very confusing. I'm sorry. The control center has like music and play button and all kinds of stuff on it. Let me get to this. Hold on. Trying to find my latest. Sorry about this. Okay. Sorry about that. My notes are all actually stored in my phone. So they talked about Safari. Actually, I'm going to say this first. The multitasking is actually really cool. When you go to multitask, you can actually just swipe your finger to another app, and you can actually see the app in action before you click on it. So that's really cool. Okay, now Safari for the iPhone. This is not for the for the computer. I'm going to pretty much say right now. I actually even marked down in my notes Safari, aka Google Chrome, because it is the exact same thing. There's no difference now between Google Chrome and Safari. You can do full screen, which is exactly like, and I'm going to say actually everything that they said in the keynote. You can now do full screen just like Google Chrome. There's a new tab interface. So when you look at your tabs, you can swipe them to the left. If you swipe them to the left or the right, that would actually close that tab. Exactly like Google Chrome. That's exactly what Google Chrome has, and it actually looks very similar. It's compatible with iCloud Keychain. It has the new user interface, so it looks a lot different. This is the one thing that is not like Google Chrome. When you scroll down, it will show the header to the website. Google Chrome doesn't have that. So technically, this isn't full screen, even though they say it is. So now more on the control center. I guess I did have everything in my notes. Control center. From control center, you can control a flashlight, which is built into the iPhone now. Instead of having to download a flashlight app, you can now get your flashlight from the control center. You can control music, switch songs, do all kinds of stuff. And you can actually go to your camera from Control Center, control the volume, like I said. You can go to multitasking stuff and do all kinds of cool stuff from the Control Center just from swiping up, and it pops up a quick settings menu. And swiping down is the notification. Swiping up is quick settings. Control Center, that's what it's called. All right, okay. Then they talked about AirDrop. Man, this is going to be a very long podcast. Okay, then they talked about AirDrop. AirDrop is a lot like the Galaxy series, where you can touch phones and share things. Except this with iPhones now, you don't have to bump phones, and they kind of made a joke about Galaxies because of that. You don't have to, touch each other's phones, which is weird in the first place. You can actually just share it straight through AirDrop. Okay, then they went on to talk about the camera itself, the interface of the camera. There's 4 options to the camera. There's a whole bunch of different options. Like you can do a square mode for the camera. You can do video camera, or one other one. I forget what it is, but so all you have to do for that is you just swipe. You just swipe on your screen, and it will select the different camera for you. And now, finally the camera has photo filters, just like Android phones have always had. So they now have photo filters. Right when you take a picture, you can choose to do that. And this when you go to your gallery now, it seems like everything is just compiled, and everything's stacked on top of each other, and all the photos are just annoying, and they're all together. Well, now they have a thing called moments, where everything is separated by the time you took it and the place you took it. Then they showed collections. Collections is shown by year, so you can see an overview of every single picture you've taken in that year. You might only have the phone for 2 years though, so I guess that doesn't really matter. Okay, then they went on to talk about Siri, which I absolutely love the new Siri. It's got a completely new interface. I can't even recognize it as Siri anymore. When you use Siri now, you just hold in the home button and you can see your voice wave. But all the voice wave is, it just lights up the little Siri icon with purple. But now there's an actual sound wave. It's really cool. And the actual voice of Siri itself sounds like a real person now. So it's a lot like Google Voice for Android phones. I think it's called Google Voice, whatever it is. You can actually now choose the gender of Siri. Siri can be a male or Siri can be a female, and they both sound like real people. They don't sound like robots, which sounds like this.
Siri not available. Connect to the internet.
Well, that's definitely not what Siri sounds like. Okay, that's embarrassing. Oh, okay. I have airplane mode on. Sorry about that. That's embarrassing. All right. Okay, so, well, that is what Siri sounds like, actually. You can hear it now.
Siri not available. Connect to the internet.
Okay, yeah, that's what Siri sounds like, even though my Siri's not activated because I don't have the internet right now. I'm on airplane mode. Okay, so then they showed how many things Siri can actually do now. Siri can... you can do all kinds of stuff with Siri. You can ask it anything, really. You can ask it to search something, actually search something on the internet through Siri. Instead of saying, would you like me to search this on the internet? No, it actually does it on Siri now. You can control all kinds of stuff. Like you can say, turn my brightness down, and it'll turn your brightness down. You can access Twitter, Wikipedia, web results from Bing. Then they talk about iOS in the car, which is pretty much just iOS in a car. Okay, then they went on to talk about the App Store that's completely redesigned. You can choose from apps near me, from popular apps from near me, literally like apps that people are downloading around you. Now this is awesome. There's automatic updates, automatic background updates. Instead of having that annoying little one that you always see beside an app or beside the App Store app, it now automatically updates. You do not have to go into the app and update it. Okay, then they talked about the music. The music app is completely different. It's got an awesome new design. iRadio is awesome. It's just like Pandora though, so don't get too excited. You can just have Pandora and it'll be the same thing. So pretty much the iRadio, which I'm still going to call it iRadio even though it's called iTunes Radio, all it is Pandora. So that's that, and it's free with so yeah, that's free. All of that stuff is available on the iPad. And back to the iTunes Radio, it is free but with ads, just like Pandora. Okay, so the new iOS 7, a lot of things that they didn't cover, but it does have. They showed kind of in the background. You can now block people, which you've never been able to do before, like on email or their phone number or the message or FaceTime. You can block them in case they're annoying you or something. Find My iPhone is now different. There's an activation lock, meaning if somebody steals your iPhone, you can put an activation lock on it through iCloud on your computer, and it will deactivate the phone, and you cannot reactivate it. So this is iOS 7 is going to be available this fall, and but the beta is now open to developers, so they can get that today. If you're a developer and watching my video, I'm not really sure why you would, but it's available today. Okay, my voice is getting worn out from talking for a half hour. Okay, so that is a wrap on WWDC 2013. I know this was a very long podcast. It was a half hour, but I hope you enjoyed it. Go and follow me on Twitter at LucasGotTech for more information, and subscribe to me. Oh, and go look at my channel. I made some new channel art and a new channel icon. New channel icon, channel art, and they look pretty cool. I made them in Photoshop, so tell me what you guys think. Anyway, till next time, I will see you guys later. I'm not sure what the podcast is going to be about next week because there's not really, you know what? I might talk about E3 next week. Okay. All right. So I will see you guys next week, and subscribe and follow me on Twitter. See you guys.